Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to Brianna Lennon, the Boone County Clerk, and we're going to talk about the upcoming election and the deadline to register to vote in that election and all of that kind of stuff. So, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So we have, I think, to people, especially that are first-time voters, they are struck by the fact that we seem to have a lot of elections in Missouri, but I think in a lot of places, but where you divide up the municipal elections and the statewide elections and all of that. Can you tell us just sort of generally what's on the April 6th ballot?
Yes, so it certainly feels like we're still, decompressing from the November election, but April's election is all about local issues. So school board, city council, there are entities like fire protection districts that Boone County has two of, that both of those will be on as well. And anytime that something local comes up, like a issue or a question that a city wants to put on the ballot, April is the time that happens too. So for anybody, especially if you're a student at Mizzou, you are in the Columbia Public School District, and so there are races for two of these seats on the Board of Education. We also have this April a special election for the 45th district of the state house. So there's a vacancy right now for state representative in the 45th district, and that's going to be filled during the April election. So if you're in that area, which is a lot of the student population lives within the 45th district, you'll see that on your ballot too.
Yeah, so that is, and it is that district does cover a lot of campus area and students that live in off-campus housing that's close to campus. So that is that's almost for a full 2 years, right? Because the person who had won that resigned right after the election, did he not?
Yes, yeah. So it'll be for usually the timeline is that the election happens April 6th. We take a little less than 2 weeks to certify. Secretary of State's office takes a little less than 2 weeks to certify. So by the middle of May, that position will be filled.
Okay, so we'll miss most of the session, but I guess would show up for the last couple of weeks of the legislative session to serve out and that's kind of the critical time. That's when they're wrapping up the budget and all of that. So
yeah, and this also allows them, so the legislature has a veto session in September, and there's always a potential for special sessions called by the governor. So it gives representation for the rest of this year, and then for all of next year's, the 2022 cycle will also be on there too. And then this position will file, just like all of the other state representative districts, next spring for the November election.
All right, so so I can tell you, as I told you in an email, I have a high school senior daughter who just turned 18 last week. And so she's very excited about this. I don't know how many people who are students here at Mizzou would have turned 18 between the last election and now, but there could be a few. And there's also some probably that just didn't, were overwhelmed and didn't get registered to vote in the fall. So what's the deadline to be eligible for this election, and what do you recommend is the best way to go about registering?
So if you are new to Boone County and you haven't registered before, or you, like you said, just turned 18, then the deadline to register to vote is March 10th. And you can do it online. Online voter registration is available on our website, which is vote.boonemo.org. You can also go to the Secretary of State's website, and that's to, if you end up not wanting to be registered in Boone County, but you live in Missouri and you want to register in your home county, then you can go to the Secretary of State's website and submit a voter registration application, and then you'll be registered in your home county instead. But our website is specific to Boone County. You can find where to register to vote. You can find how to update your address too. So if in November you were living in an apartment and you've moved apartments since then, make sure you update your address, because that's really important for us to know that we have a current record. It gives you the right ballot. So if you've moved into District 45, for example, you'll be able to get the correct ballot. You can also look up your record to find your sample ballot, what you're going to be voting on, and your polling place. That's really important as well. We make that available so that you can do your research before you go to the polls on April 6th and make sure that you have everything you need.
Well, so in November, I know there were some centralized locations to vote. Is that the case this time around, or do you just have to look and see what your precinct is this time around?
So we still do have a central location. It is in the Boone Government Center. So it's just down the street. If you're, I've walked several times from campus to my office. So it's a straight shot down 9th Street. So if you start walking down 9th Street, you hit our building. That's where our central location is. If you don't want to find where you are, if you're not, if you don't live near campus, then you won't have a polling place that's close to campus assigned to you. This will be the closest one to you. And it's always a quick experience. The central poll is usually not very busy, and so you can get in and out within 10 minutes.
And so 2 more quick questions for you. One is, so if you're a student who's coming here from, we've got a lot of students from Texas, we've got a lot of students from Illinois, but maybe they're trying to establish residency so they can have in-state tuition. Registering to vote is a good way to help establish that, isn't it?
Yes. So registering to vote, you don't need to establish residency first. What you need to do is literally live in Missouri and reside in Missouri, and that qualifies you to register to vote. So if you are living in a dorm, you're living in an apartment, and you intend to be living here, you can register to vote. And then we do often have students come in and want either a certified copy of their registration, or everybody gets a voter ID card when they register to vote. All of those can be shown as proof for residency for tuition purposes. So we do get that question a lot.
Okay, and then the last question for you. I got my email from your office asking if I was available to work as a poll worker at the April election. Are you looking, do you need more people? I mean, is this something that students should consider doing this time around, or?
I mean, we always encourage students to get involved. If nothing else, it gives you good practice for the larger elections. April elections are unfortunately notoriously low turnout, so it's usually a quiet experience for poll workers. So it's a good one to get your feet wet if you haven't done it before. And we have a place on our website too where you can sign up to be a poll worker. You do have to be a registered voter first. So if you are from outside of Missouri and you want to be a poll worker, you do have to choose to register in Boone County in order to do that. But yeah, we always encourage students to get involved.
Okay, so I had this website. You can see this, right?
Yes.
All right, so I had this set up, but you said a different address. What was the address that you said?
It will bounce back to it, but if you put in vote.boonemo.org, it'll redirect you right to this website.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it's an easier one to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, is there anything that I have neglected to ask you that you wanted to get out?
I don't think so. I think you hit everything.
All right. Well, this is awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and go register to vote and go vote, guys. So excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.